Hello, I'm Roger Bisbee from the Skill Builder channel, and a little while ago I went up to Ellesmere Port to see Kirk Johnstone from On The Trowel. He's got his own wonderful channel there. He showed me a bit of plaster and you can see the results. He said that he was going to be doing some plumbing later on and that I'd have a chance to reciprocate, and the way it worked out, Kirk took the week off and he did a little bit here and there, so there wasn't really any opportunity for me to get involved in actually spending some time with him, which is a bit of a shame because I would have liked to have done that. He's a great guy and I enjoyed his company, but he's had to go himself, and so what I figured I would do is have a look at his video. He's made a video on his efforts at plumbing, and I just thought I'd do what people have done in quite a lot of my videos, which is to critique them. So let's have a look at the video and see what we can see. Now this is little Kirk and he's standing on a ceiling. I can't believe that. I've had people do that. Oh goodness, my wife would go nuts.
Under the floorboards was just a complete mess.
Now this is one of my pet hates, the rubbish that you see under floorboards. Not only is it antisocial because, as Kirk points out, if you've got to remove a ceiling in the future, you get all this stuff raining down on your head, but it's also lazy and it's a fire hazard. If you've got an electrical connection under the floor that starts sparking, arcing across or something, and you've got debris there, it's got something to grab hold of and start a fire. Whereas if it's all clean under there, the chances of, the plasterboard's not going to catch fire, and the chance of it setting fire to a joist are remote. But you imagine all those little bits of paper and wood and everything else. I mean, that's fire starter material, isn't it? So I share his pet hate of that. Get rid of it. And my wife sometimes wonders what I'm doing when I'm cleaning out the undersides of the floors, but it's so much nicer to work with as well. And the other thing, of course, is you've got plumbers with blow lamps as well, so even that, remove all flammable material from the area. Let's get on with it.
Mess, I can't even tell you how much rubbish was underneath here. I'm going to clean all this out.
And I need to do something with that soil pipe as well.
There's something interesting. Look, the further you dig, the more you find. So, when they've installed this...
Oh, I've come across this so many times. They've cut the joist, they've cut that floor joist there.
Originally, they've just chopped off that joist there. That's as far as it goes. They've cut that joist off there, and then they've put this little T-piece in to support it, but then when they've put this in, they've just notched out of it, and look at, so now we've got to replace that as well, so we're going to fix that up. We're going to take all this pipe work out, and this will be getting replaced, and this pipe work's coming out as well, and then we're going to fix all these joists up and make that good and solid, and then maybe we can start doing some plumbing, putting the floor back in and putting the temporary toilet in, because at the minute my missus is giving me because they're having to use the toilet in the workshop in the middle of the night, so it's like being back in the 30s when you have to use the outside toilet.
First of all, replace that bit of broken joist with some C24.
I would have done that, Kirk, but I probably also would have put a joist hanger around that. And the other thing that I like to do if I find those joists that have been cut off in their prime, so to speak, is to just put a couple of bolts through into the wall, chemical affix those into the wall, and then that joist is basically being supported anyway on the wall, so nothing's going to happen. But I mean, what you've done is great. There'll be no trouble with it in the future. And I mean, the fact that it's lasted all those years like that is, it's testament to just how far you've got to go before you can wreck a house.
So now we're going to start gluing and screwing plywood to the side of each joist. This one I'm going to use a proper joist because that's going to be the main area where we go in and out of the shower. And we've replaced all this here, so we took out the old crappy bit that they had in there that was all broken up. I've replaced that, and that is, I mean, you can hear it, you can play a tune on that now. I've put duct tape around the end of it and sealed the end of it just in case any moisture was to get to that timber. So now we're going to glue and then start screwing all these joists.
That's something I've done a lot. When you've got a bit of bounce in a joist or you're going to drill through to put a waste pipe in, you're basically putting plywood on either side, or even OSB on either side of the joist. Gluing and screwing it means that you've basically turned each one of those joists into an I-beam, and honestly, I mean, you try and bend a piece of ply like that end on and it take tons and tons. So Great job. It's exactly what I do. When I say great minds think alike, but it's interesting to know how many other plumbers do that. But yeah, you see some terrible things where people have notched out joists and drilled holes.
Because I'm moving the basin to the opposite side of the bathroom, the 32mm waste pipe will have to run through the middle of the joists to be hidden, which means that the joists might need strengthening. So what I'm doing now is a process called sistering the joists.
Every piece of 18mm ply is going to be glued. I'm not going to say this.
Sticks like shit. I'll say it for you.
Apparently when you sister a joist, you go about a foot past each side of the hole with one side of the joist reinforced. I just thought I'd do the whole length of the bathroom floor and do both sides of the joists just to be extra sure.
I'd do that as well. I concur, my friend. That's the way to go. Why bother just stopping it? You know, you might as well carry on.
All the joists have all been reinforced on both sides. That one I could only do one side. Now this one over here was a special one because they'd made a mess of down here, so I've replaced all that pipe work. I'm going to also join back onto that pipe because I believe that is the overflow for my boiler. I bought a length of treated 7x2 for this. The rest of the joist I just used for down there to strengthen that side because this is going to be the main entrance here into the shower. The plumbers will laugh at me. Look at this. I've got this going on here.
Okay, first thing, I've got pulled on this a few times myself. Flux in the inside of the fitting. It means that when you put it on the pipe, you push a load of flux up into the pipe, and then that's just too much flux floating around the system. It won't actually cause many problems because, like he said, he's got a stainless steel radiator tower rail going in there later on. So, but it does rot radiators, flux. That's the worst of it. It's not that it corrodes the pipes, but it can rot radiators. So if you do that, if you put too much flux on, the thing to do is just give it a good old flush out, fill it up, run it, empty it, do it 2 or 3 times to the whole system, and then you'll be sure you get rid of it. It's water soluble, the flux, anyway. So anyway,
this is the blow off for the boiler. This is our cold and this is our hot, so I'm going to reduce this, but ultimately before we start even going down hot, I'm running the cold to the toilet and down towards the basin and the shower, where I've got to get underneath this, and I want to try and keep it nice and neat all in one run. So I'm just doing some crazy plumbing.
I put flux in the cup of every fitting and I used lead-free solder to do all the joints. Now, I don't profess to be a plumber.
all I'd say, Kirk, on this bit is don't put your solder into the flame of the blow lamp. Heat the joint up, pull the blow lamp away, just touch the joint with the solder and you'll soon know if it's hot enough. If it's not hot enough, just take the solder back out a little bit more with the blow lamp and then shove the solder back onto the joint. Once that joint is hot, that solder will run around there in seconds. The way you're doing it there is that you're probably just burning solder. You can see it dropping in balls onto the floor below. Not a big deal. You're not going to be plumbing a lot, so one roll of solder is probably going to last you for years and years and years. But generally, plumbers would just bit of blow lamp, bit of solder, bit of blow lamp, bit of solder, like that.
I'll probably get ripped for me plumbing attempts.
You won't get ripped for anything, mate. That's a very fair job that you've done there. You clipped it. You've done everything you can. That's good. We like that. And it looks to me like you've even cleaned your joints up afterwards. Get rid of all the flux so that it don't go green and corrode. It takes a long time for them to corrode anyway. People worry a lot about that, but it's just that they don't look nice, do they, with all green gunk all over them, flux all on the outside.
I think I did an okayish job.
You did a good job, Kirk. Don't beat yourself up, mate.
I've got OCD. I'm turning into me dad. Right, so this is the reason I strengthened all these joists up. In case you're wondering why I've done that, is because I've got to drill a 32mm waste pipe straight through from the basin and go straight out. Now,
Yeah, you can run it into, people have said to me, why don't you run it into the shower waste? But the shower waste is bigger, and I ultimately want that to just go straight out, so the shower waste is going to be here and straight out, so there's no benefit trying to run that to the shower waste. It's
Never ever do that. I've seen that so many times when people try and do that, and I understand why people do it, but what happens if that shower waste starts to block up and you're running the shower, and you're probably going to have a nice powerful shower in there, and then you've got the basin waste running into it, and before you know where you are, the shower tray is flooding over because you're running a basin waste into it, and it's all coming back up. So, you know, if these things they start to get clogged up over the years with a bit of hair, a bit of this, bit of that, no, just keep them separate. And also, you don't want them pulling on the trap, so all that glug, glug, glug and all the rest of it, absolute nightmare. So you're right, you've done it again. You know, your instincts are good instincts. I love these plates over the top of the pipes as well. By the way, that's a nice touch. A lot of people don't bother doing that. We do that on gas pipes a lot, but people don't always bother on general plumbing. But it's good. It's really good.
like the same distance anyway, so I may as well just go straight out, keep them separate, and then you don't have to listen to any gurgling from a different drain. I know you can get vacuum traps and all that, but either way, I'm not a plumber, so I'm just trying my best to do it properly. So those holes for the waste pipe now are basically all drilled. I've just got a core through the wall, and they're the 1 in 40 fall. That's the minimum amount of fall that you're allowed, and I worked that out there on the wall. I measured at 40, and then and took an inch, and then just projected the lines further.
See, he's got a great brain, you know? I mean, I would never have thought of doing that. I do the calculation, obviously, but to actually do that, draw it through, I mean, how easy.
I measured how many inches it would be at the other side of the bathroom, and then just transferred all the measurements in line with the joists onto these joists. So, I've tried my best. Now we'll soon see how easy it is to feed the waste pipe in from outside. I'm sure it'll take a little bit of hammering, but hopefully it'll go in fairly easy, I'm hoping, but we'll see. And then he's going to pop up there inside the wall and come out roughly the same height as these guys, and that'll be inside my sink unit then. The unit is going to hang off the wall, it's not going to touch the floor, it's going to be attached to the wall, and then the basin sits on top then on a piece of like marble. This is the easy bit, going through the block work. As soon as I get in deep enough and I can fit my SDS drill in here, I'll switch this bit over and change it to an SDS bit and attach it to this, and then go through the rest of the brickwork with the proper drill.
That's always a tricky thing to do. I had a really nice DeWalt right angle drill for cutting cores and things like that, and unfortunately when I was out on James's job a couple of years back, it got stolen by a courier that came in, delivered a parcel and left with the drill. We know it was him, but we can try proving it.
That comes fairly neat out the brick.
This breakout is always a problem, you know, and he's saying, oh, it's a little bit of breakout. What you can do there, Kirk, is you can get something called a pipe snug, which is a flange that fits around the outside of the pipe, and actually it's to keep air tightness in the building. Actually, that's why they've designed them, but they cover up all those kind of ugly things, which we all do. It's very hard not to get breakout on face brickwork when you're coming the wrong way through it, but yeah, pipe snug, that's what you need.
Really, I probably should have come out with a little pilot hole and gone back in, but it's been awkward because the moment of truth.
Nice shot, nice camera. Oh, look at that. That's art.
They all look like they line up, so hopefully
that's bloody
Hadron
Collider.
Slide in, no problem. Okay, this is the last awkward little bit. That, to be fair.
Oh, that's great. That is, do you know what? That's as good as any I've ever done. I mean, normally there's a bit of a
1 in 4.
Bit of a push and a shove with
all
them.
in line, right through the brickwork.
That's great.
And it's got, you know, it's tight, but it's free as well. Out of the sink. So the last little.
See, here's my thing. I think that when you look at Kirk doing his plastering, you can see a mind at work there that is about order, precision, neatness, and he applies that to any job he does, and it's fantastic. I mean, this is my thing about, you know, people argue about jack of all trades and I'll stick to what you know, but you get a guy like that and he just transfers that discipline to everything he does, and I think he could do basically anything he wanted to do, really. I mean, not that he wants to, he's happy enough just sticking to one trade. He doesn't want to become a bathroom fitter, but he could very easily become a general builder and fill his van up with all kinds of useless tools. No, he's got it right what he's doing, but it's a bit of fun, isn't it, this?
Tricky bit is to feed it into this one, but it's got to meet up. And because I want a slow bend, I could put a sharp 90, but I think it's better to have a slow bend. It sends the water better.
Absolutely.
That's got to be, the joint has actually got to be inside the joist. So it's never coming back out again. Once this gets glued in, it's in forever. So
that's a tricky one.
I've got to work quite quick when I do this.
Oh, I hate doing things like this. It's alright if the glue's nice and wet, use plenty of it, and it gives you a bit more time to work with it. Keeping all the debris out at the end of the pipe with the fitting. This is it, moment of truth. You only get one go at this. Push it in, push it in. Oh. The only thing I sometimes do there is put a witness mark on the pipe, measure it back to the mouth of that fitting, put a witness mark on so you know, but you can normally tell when it's gone home.
And this is an exact replica of the shower tray. Not clever.
See, I've never done this in my life, but what a great idea. Bit of plasterboard, make a template,
Like that.
shove it in.
I can just attach that way.
That's fantastic.
That'll just stay still.
A lot of guys would just use flexi connectors.
I've made the corner of this plasterboard the same as the corner of the shower tray. Obviously the tray's 900 by the full width of the bathroom, but this bit's the same. Now if you noticed, I cut the waste pipes on a funny little angle because I knew if I did it just straight out there'd be no play whatsoever, whereas now I've made it where it's tight, but I can move this round. It's a little bit forgiving, you know. I've got a couple of mil I can go either direction because I don't know. I mean, you think that's going to be perfectly square where it is, but when the tray goes in it might be slightly off by say ½ an inch, so I've got the play there to be able to move that round ½ an inch, but it's also under its own sort of strength is going to stay in position, so I haven't got to rummage around under the floor trying to find it. It's just sort of supporting itself.
That's absolutely great. That's
You know,
that's just the way to do it. Give yourself a bit of play, and make sure it comes up
I
parallel
tested
as
all the
well.
plumbing and there was no leaks, so I was happy with that. I put little metal plates over the top of where the pipes were so you couldn't screw through them, and I also added some extra supports like crisscrosses
Herringbone struts. I love a bit of herringbone strutting.
between the joists just to stop them twisting in the future. So now I can get on with the bit that I've been waiting to do, to finally get a floor down. It's been a nightmare crawling around on top of these joists. Doesn't half hurt your knees. I don't envy plumbers and electricians having to do this sort of thing every day. I chose to use pine floorboards as opposed to big sheets of wood chip floorboarding because I feel like I can get a neater job around all the services like the soil pipe coming in and around the door casings and things like that. I also decided to screw them down rather than nail them down. I was just thinking of the next guy, you know, to make it easier for anybody if they want to take it up in the future. To keep the dust to a minimum, I did the majority of the cutting outside. Now this was mainly because I didn't want loads of dust in between the joists, because when you pull ceilings down, which I've done lots of in the past, it's horrible when there's all sorts of stuff under the floorboards and it all lands in your face. So I thought I'll look after the next guy and not fill it under the floor full of rubbish.
What a diamond.
So now this this bit really is the crucial bit in my mind. This is like the most difficult part, is to make sure that this can get onto the bottom of the shower tray. Now, it just works out that where this attaches to the shower tray is pretty much flush with the bottom of it, the bit that actually sits on the floor, so it's just about the right height. But the way I've actually piped it with that little C shape just means there's a bit of flexibility in it, so if it needs to go that way, it can push, you know, it can go forwards, backwards, and it can come up and down as where is needed.
Yeah.
And I've tried to give it a good, you know, 1.5 inches right round the edge of the floorboard, so you can actually get it to wherever it needs to go without too much hassle. So hopefully we'll be able to put this in fairly easy without too much stress and without any leaks.
You right in the wall, mate.
I'll push it that way. So help me support this end. That's it, I've got it here. You reach over and get there. Lean against the wall.
I got my brother-in-law round to help me because that thing weighs an absolute ton, but I needed an extra pair of hands to help me get it up the stairs. Did a dry fit just to see what it was like, and it was a bit tight, so we had to take a little bit more off the bottom of the wall so it'd slide underneath a little bit.
Set a section of board off there. So put the hoover in, get the hoover ready. Yeah.
So once we're happy with the position of this tray, I'll make sure that the waste pipe lines up with the shower tray, and once I've got all that sorted, then I'll put a nice mix of sand and cement underneath the shower tray just to hold it in position.
Actually, I'd just like to say about bedding shower trays on, because that is a resin cast shower tray. So think of that as if it was a big paving slab. There is no tensile strength in it. In other words, if it's not absolutely evenly supported on that sand and cement base, if you just put down a little bit of silicone on it and then you bedded it on that, and there's a discrepancy in the floor, things are moving, whatever's happening, and all that shower tray has got to do is move by 0.5 millimetre, and okay, say 1 millimetre. If it moves by 1 millimetre, it'll crack. And I've seen so many crack, and of course what the guys do, if like the kudos guy, the rep will come round, got a cracked shower tray, and he'd just take a core drill and he will drill either side of that crack. He'd just drill in places all around it, take out the core, and if that piece of tray that he's core drilled out of there hasn't got sand and cement on the bottom of it, that's it. You're on your own. There is no warranty on that. So when you bed it on, it's not like you go, oh, I bed it on, I don't need to worry too much, I'll dot and dab it or whatever. Never do that. Just comb it through, make a really nice job of that base, because that is providing a tensile strength for that shower tray. And there's no other way around it. I've seen so many people shortcut this. Oh no, you don't need to bother doing that. You can just get a bit of squirty foam, expanding foam, or you can use tile adhesive or anything else. The trouble with tile adhesive, it's too strong. You stick it to the boards and it sticks to the bottom of the tray. So you imagine if there's a very, very slight bit of movement, what's going to happen? It's going to take the tray, isn't it? So it's always going to go for the weakest link. And the weakest link, although they're heavy, these trays, they're not strong. I don't know why they don't put more mesh in them when they cast them, really, just to overcome that. But there you go.
This is why it was important that I made that trap so it could move ever so slightly. So if you see now, come here, see, I can just literally
Perfect.
position that wherever I want it.
10 out of 10 there, mate.
And get the trap screwed straight in, and we're good to go.
You never have a problem. Oh, now that, you see, even standing on that, Kirk, not trying to be rude, but you see that little bit of the edge there? Because they're not cast flat, these trays, that's the problem.
Give tape, this is quite thick. I was going to protect everything, because the plasterers no doubt will be in soon, and you know what them guys are like. So we're going to do our best to make sure that they can't wreck the place.
But before I do any plastering, I need to get the shower valve on, so I built a little support for it to sit onto, and then I put the shower on and I put it in with a laser because I want to make sure it's perfect.
Every time,
The
because
reason
there's
being,
nothing,
when
you
the
can't get a
tiles are on,
spirit
they'll
level
show
on
up
it
if it isn't
properly.
straight.
laser it
so
up.
There's 4 of these nuts or glands, or I don't know what they're called. There's 4 of them anyway. They have to go in here, and then on the other end of them, you get a nice little 15mm olive and nut for the compression fitting for your pipes to go in. But these are just thread in here. Apparently you can use PTFE tape, but there's stuff called Loctite that's even better. Now it just so happens that my local plumbers merchants don't stock Loctite, they use this Rapid Blue stuff.
That's a great product. That's absolutely the way to go, because you put that stuff in, you can back the thread up slightly if you need to. If you're trying to line an elbow up or something, you can back it off slightly. When it sets, it's beautiful. It's lovely stuff. PTFE tape, yeah, but so much PTFE tape around those threads to get them to seal, and then there's always a chance that they're going to leak. Who wants that?
So with this stuff, you just apply it to the first 2 threads on the female section and the male section, and that's enough. I wiped off any overspill and I covered over all the holes so no dust could get inside the valve. Now it's time to get some pipe work in. Ready? We could do with the hoover to hoover all these bits of sawdust out and shavings. Okay. How's that loft looking?
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful.
All nice and insulated.
Coals.
Good stuff. Right. I don't want to do anything else up there ever again now. It's me done with the loft. I flipping hate going in the loft. In the wrong shape to fit through the hole for the start. Next, we boarded the ceiling with OSB board. Now I'll tell you why in the next video. And then as soon as we've done this, it was time to get the pipe work in for the shower. I used Boss White on all the fittings. It helps lubricate the thread, and then once it goes off, it also helps waterproof the fitting as well.
Oh dear. Oh no. Reminds me, we had a little boy on a job. He loved that, getting the hammer. We left the hammer there one night. There were a few nails in a tub, and he hammered all the nails into the water cylinder, into the foam lagging that was on the water cylinder. So we came in the next morning. He looked like a dartboard.
Detach that now. Make sure I want that. Now, I need a little bit of Boss White in that thread. This needs to be on ready because I'm not going to get a second chance at it once it's soldered in place. It's going to be a nicer way of getting Boss White into the thread without me having to get all of me fingers.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Watch you don't touch that.
Watch out, Kirk's.
Yeah. What's that?
To be fair, Mrs. Johnstone, that Boss White is not a dangerous, it's not a hazardous substance. It's lovely. They love it. They love it.
He got really excited when he seen the flame. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Hopefully he doesn't turn into an arsonist.
When my son was young, he had a lot of friends around for his birthday tea, and they brought the cake out, and I got the blow lamp from under the table. Surprise, surprise, and lit the candles on the cake with a blow lamp, and the kids shrieked with laughter. They absolutely loved it.
And I had to build some complicated bits, shall we say. It was a bit tricky trying to do it in situ, so I built it on the bench.
Yeah, just take that flame away, mate. Can you see all the solder dropping off?
That was my best attempt at plumbing.
That's bloody good. That's lovely. When you come out with that pipe there, you could have just gone across there, over there, and put that outlet somewhere around that level, because by the time you screw the shower hose into it and put it on its little holder, well, maybe you want it up higher, I don't know, that's fine. It's only a little personal preference. I love all these plates, so look at this.
Now the bit that went up into the loft It actually attaches to the shower head with a flexi connector, but I put some insulation around it as well, just in case it ever froze, and I put more of those little metal plates to stop anyone screwing through a pipe.
Right, so I'm just doing the switches now for all the isolation points. So we've almost finished all the work to do in the attic. It's all insulated. Look at those Lego toys. I've saved them for little Kirk when he's bigger. Anyway, we're all insulated. This is the above the bathroom here, and this I've made like a little panel. This is where all the stuff's going to go.
This is
I've got
great.
my fan, the Bluetooth speaker, the electric mirror, the underfloor heating, and the wireless waterproof phone charger. Now I know your fan, usually you see those above the bathroom door, don't you? Well, I don't really want it to be there. I don't know if it has to go there or not. I hope not, because well, this is my house, so I'm going to sort of I'm going to put them where I want. There's the loft insulation that's going to go on top of the bathroom ceiling when that's in. Once I've finished doing all the lights and the electrics for the lights, I'll put the insulation down. That'll be the last job up here.
It's something I've been putting off for a little while, but this is basically the last point now. There's nothing else to do, so I've got to do it. You guessed it, it made a hell of a mess.
Okay, so that's all the first fix plumbing and electrics done. So I'll just quickly recap and tell you where we're up to. First off, we've core drilled the hole through for the extractor fan. Obviously the new window went in because there was a column there that went, and anyway.
Now I would have put the extractor fan in the ceiling, run it in the loft, down through the soffit. I much prefer that. For me, it's a little bit low down, that extractor fan, in as much as all the steam is rising up to the ceiling. If it's a strong enough fan, it'll probably do it, but I like the ceiling fan. I like the ceiling fan over the top of a shower itself, and then you can run it out. But yeah, it's another one of those, and I use those quite big inline fans that you get. You know, they cost about 70 quid, but they actually pull a hell of a lot more out than those silly little ones on the wall.
The core drilling has been done. The cable is in for the extractor fan. All the isolator switches for every bit of the electrical stuff in the bathroom are now in the loft. The plumbing is in for the shower. This is all live. If I turn that, water literally comes out of there, and that water literally will come squirting straight out of there. So we have to keep the little fellow away from them because he loves water. That's ready to go. The plumbing is in for the basin. That goes through the floor, and that's all ready to go. I just need to put a bit of pipework outside. The electrics are in for the mirror. The mirror's heated, it's got lights in it, so when you put your hand underneath it, it'll light up and demist. The electrics are in for the underfloor heating. There's going to be a little control unit on the landing, and that's going to run down the wall and under the floor with a little thermostat so that the floor's nice and warm. Plumbing's obviously in for the toilet. Now, in case you're wondering, why did the radiator pipes come out there but start over there? Okay, so my original plan, stand there a sec. My original plan was to have a towel radiator that goes right across there, but my missus has talked me out of it. She doesn't want the radiator in there. Now, one of the reasons was she was worried about it rusting, and then it triggered my mind thinking about rust. So I've actually bought a stainless steel radiator, so it won't rust anyway, but still, we're only having one there with like it's like a towel radiator. So anyway, that's done. Now, there's going to be a Bluetooth speaker in the ceiling, so my daughters will be able to come in, put the YouTube on, cast it to the speaker because they love listening to the music whilst they're in the shower for 6 hours at a time. And as well, what I used to catch them all the time was a little charging lead coming in under the door because they'd sneak little chargers in so they could charge the phones whilst they were in the bath. So to try and counteract that, now what I've done is inside this boxing in, there's going to be a little access panel maybe here or the other side. I haven't decided yet. The soil stack has been cut down and put inside there because I'm going to make a feature out of the ceiling. You'll see that in a later video. That'll be a nice little surprise for you. But I've also made a little addition in here. Check this out. I'll put the phone there. Ooh, oh. It charges up. Wireless waterproof charger inside the boxing in.
Good
so
idea.
Hopefully when it's all done, they'll be happy with it, but we'll soon see. The next video you see will be me plastering this room, straightening these walls out with backcoat plaster, and then the third and final video will be all the tiling and the fitting of the bathroom suite. So, this is the best attempt I can do. This is a plasterer trying his hardest to be a bathroom fitter for a one-off job. Never again.
Honestly, if you've got a plumber and your wife is saying get a plumber in and you can go off plastering, but they don't care as much as you care. Nobody's going to do as good a job as you are, and as I say, your attitude just shines through on everything you do, and you know, you're gonna have a great job there. There's no doubt. It's not going to be second best job by any means at all. I'll be interested to see the rest of it. But so far, mate, so good. I really can't fault it.
I'm just sat here editing this video, and I'm just looking at this thing. This is going to be the shower head. It's going to come out the ceiling. I'm thinking, I wonder if that's big enough. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.
Brilliant. What a guy. If you haven't watched that video with Kirk showing me how to plaster, it's worth a watch. It's a long video, but it's worth a watch. I'm Roger Bisbee. Come back and see me soon, and we'll get back business as usual pretty soon.